I would not, or if I wouldn't think it would throw my neck completely off my shoulder, I'd do that. I'd dream a genie thing and flip my head forward and say blink, and now we're here, we're back, and we're good to go. But yeah, I know I'd throw my head off my shoulders, but we are back with Janet Hatfield right now, and hopefully we'll be getting in a couple other guests here pretty soon. But Janet's one of my dearest friends. She is one of the brightest people I know. She is one of the most caring people I know, and she would be an asset to anybody. And in the nonprofit world, I've worked with you, Janet, now for years.
A lot of years.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure. I know that you're always here at my beck and call, which I just greatly appreciate. And Jada, we've been talking today about what we need to do in order to help our veterans in many different aspects. I mean, there are so many different things that we just like simple things that if they were done, we could make a difference.
Well, yeah, and there's just way too many gaps out there. I mean, the biggest thing is for people to understand that veterans are not taken care of once once they're done with deployment or anything. And the misnomer is always, oh, well, the government takes care of them, or well, you've seen what the government's been doing. They've been slashing funding left and right for them. So it's up to local nonprofits to try to fill those gaps in all of those areas that traditional, non traditional, all of the above to try to help these people because the worst thing is for you to have signed a blank check and then can't get help.
Yeah. I had a conversation earlier with somebody, and my 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 solution to this problem was very simple. We could take and we can sit there and we can try to um, we can do everything that we can do to make a difference, and kick out these politicians that are in now, and we can go towards moving new ones in, and we can do all this other stuff, or we can do it ourselves,
Yeah.
and we can work together to do it ourselves. One of those things is going to work, and it's
Well,
not the one that is thinking about bringing in a new bunch of politicians.
well, and
The
the
new ones
challenge
aren't going to
though,
give a shite either. They're just not.
well, the challenge on people doing it themselves, I mean, you know as well as I do that every time you spit, there's a new nonprofit that's forming that's trying to do exactly that. But then how do you fund that? Grant pipelines are rough, especially in your first year. Nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to deal with you. So then, how do you get the community to understand that you are the foundation of that community with what you're trying to do to help those underserved populations and to help those people that are in crisis right now? Because the unfortunate part is that most of the for profit companies that are out there in your communities, they want to talk a big game on, oh, we support this, we support that, but they don't want to do it with their dollars because they're counting ROI. You cannot
Mhm.
count people as ROI. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. So understanding that, my guilt thing with for profits used to be, I love that you post twice a year. Thank you for your service. But if you really want to thank these people for their service, put your money behind organizations that every day, boots on the ground, are in your community doing something and making a difference for these people. And I don't know how much more clear or, how much more guilt ridden I have to be to people to get them to understand that, look, you help make these nonprofits function. But if you don't step up, then they can't step up.
Yet the money doesn't come, like the parents used to say, money does not grow on trees,
Yeah,
and especially for nonprofits, and it doesn't just
especially.
up and appear.
Yep.
It just doesn't do it, and
Yeah,
they need your help. And this excuse, well, I didn't know it was in my neighborhood, so I gave it to insert big name organization there.
exactly.
That
Yeah,
is such,
nationals.
yeah, it's ridiculous because God damn, ask a veteran in your
Right.
community, and they'll tell you somebody in your community that can help them, that is actively helping them
Yeah.
right now.
Or try
So,
going to half of the events that are out there because nonprofits are always there.
Janet.
It's
yep,
like if you want to get specific to, knowing who's in your veteran community, go to the
Stage.
veteran events. It's like you're going to see all the nonprofits that are out there trying to help these folks. And if you can't sit there and understand that this is where they're congregating, then I can't help you.
yep, yep. Well, we hear them.
We
Hey,
don't
hi
see
Janet,
you.
hi Zach, it's Bart and Bill. I'm
We
trying to
don't.
get
Yeah.
my camera turned on.
Well, if you look like right underneath the boxes that are underneath your picture on the big screen, there's one with the camera there.
Well,
Uh,
I see the camera and I see
Oh,
the
right here.
yeah.
I
So
see the red line through the camera, but it's not activating for me.
yeah, try the one up top and see if that works. The one next to the gear icon.
Yeah, that's not working either, Zach.
You know, you know what, Bart? We can just talk to you. I mean, it'll definitely not be the same because we can't see your pretty face, but that's okay. We can get the message. So, um,
We'll
and
keep messing with it, but I'd like to introduce my vice president,
yes,
Bill
please.
Kaufman.
Hi, Zach. How you doing?
And this
Doing
is
good,
Janet.
doing good.
I've known Janet for years. She used to be with Healing Warriors. Love you, sweetheart.
Love you too, baby.
So,
Well, Zach,
um,
thank you for bringing us on.
hey, you know what? You know what? I look. This show would not be the same without you guys. Okay, we replayed the episode from 2 years ago just the other day, and there were people who were still like still amazed, at it because I like one person said, "Wow, you and Janet really let Bart have it for saying that he doesn't do much, huh?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're gonna keep doing that." So we'll hold it to his fire. So, Bill, how long have you been with Bart?
Too long.
Well, it's not stopping. I can see that.
No, we met Bart in May of 2019, right after my wife's mother died. We met him, and he was displaying his statues. And
That's a hard
a
shot.
couple of months later, we went to our first meeting at Pam Vets in Loveland. And then Bart talked to me, and I was retiring. I'm a retired attorney, and I was just about ready to retire from practice. And he asked me to come on the board. I'd say I've been with him 6 years on the board, and I'm member of the board and vice president. And it's been one of the most fun things I've ever done. I can tell you that.
You know, Bill, I say this every year because you guys were with us at Families, Cubs, and Causes when we gave away a couple statues to some to a couple older gentlemen there in the park in Alt, and there was one that we gave to him, and because of somebody not doing his job correctly, we didn't have the paperwork for it. So Bart just took the one that he has as a show piece, and told the gentleman that, you know what, we're going to get you your personalized one. We just need a couple days. And Bart presented that to him, and this little guy, and I mean he was a little guy, took and grabbed that thing, and he held it like it was the best thing that was ever given to him,
Yep.
because it shows that somebody remembers and somebody cares. And that, I think that's the reason why, Bart, we do, when you talk about, when you talk like you don't have a large imprint on people. I love you. I love you, Bart. I love you with all my
Right.
heart, but you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Tell me what you really think, Zach.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. You got it. You know I will. So, but I saw that, and you had just given. my uncle who passed away just weeks before, you had just given him posthumously a statue, and I had more tears in my eyes about that little old dude grabbing a hold of that thing, and it's like he won an Oscar. So, and just to let everybody know, and I'm going to go on ahead and switch the camera scene here a little bit and come up here. This is an example of one of the statues. This is one Bart did for my uncle who passed
Right.
away, right before uh, Mission for Healthy Heroes last year. Okay. He passed away 3 weeks before this event happened last year. This is one of my favorite people in the world. Okay. And Bart gave me this. And when we put Uncle Barry to rest, he's going to be buried with this. His ashes will be buried with this. I will put this with him because I asked Bart to do this for him. But these are some things that, my dad's got one on his mantle. We've got this one from my Uncle Barry. And they mean a lot to not just not just the people not just the people who receive them, but their families.
Mhm.
I mean, Janet, you've been around when Bart gives these things away. What are some of the things that you see?
Well, again, like I said, it's a recognition finally, because a lot of these people didn't get that, or what they got wasn't, what they were planning on getting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a recognition. It's showing that people understand. They know the worth that you have and what you gave up to do what you did. And this is like a small token, to let them know that. But yes, like you said, I mean, it's like, trying to pry it out of their cold, dead hands, trying to get it away from them once you give it to them, because of how much it does mean to them that somebody actually cares and that they've made a difference.
It is um I was just trying that, Bart, to see if that would work for you. But Bart, can you go quickly into what is the background, and why did you start Veterans Honoring Veterans?
Absolutely. Thanks, Zach. My wife and I think it was about 2015, we was at a Navy ship reunion. I go to my ship reunion every year, and when my wife was still with me, she went with me, and we was at the banquet on that Saturday night of that particular reunion. And this is the first time I saw this fellow sailor uh, get up in full dress uniform, and he was a commissioned officer. He looked sharp as hell, and he got up there and made a few notable things, and then he called up another sailor. And when he did, he held up the bronze statue, or not bronze, bronze color statue of a sailor, and presented it to this other sailor who was on the same ship that we were. So I saw this. He'd done it with a couple of them, and so after the banquet was over and we was all just gathered around talking, I found him and his wife, and I introduced myself and just asked him a question. What are you doing? This is pretty doggone cool. So he said, "This is something I do in my home state, and then it's kind of fun." And I said, "Well, is this a franchise?" Or I said, "Do you have to buy into it?" He said, "No." He says, "You go home and get yourself a nonprofit and start it." So I came back and I got a list of a half a dozen veterans and a civilian, and I showed him the statue that I went ahead and bought one from this company that he bought it from because I didn't have one to show him. So I showed him the one I bought, and I said, "This is what he's doing." I said, "Do you think the seven of us can do anything?" And they said, "Well, let's sit down and talk about it." So lo and behold, if we didn't go ahead and start a 501c3, it took us a while to find a name that we could use that hadn't been used, and Veterans Honoring Veterans. There was one other in the United States, and but they did something totally different than we did. So, but that was in 2017 when we got together. We started presenting statues in 2018, and May of 2025. Uh, at one of the breakfast banquets or one of the breakfast presentations, we hit our 1,000th statue,
Oh,
and
wow.
that
Yeah,
was yeah. Thank you.
exactly.
That was pretty impressive, and it turned out that 1,000th statue happened to be a Navy guy, and most of the people up on the in the front are all Navy people. Bill here, he's a poor Air Force guy. He sat out there and listened to us scream Navy every time a sailor is introduced, and everybody else says, "God, you sailors are all obnoxious." But it's fun bantering back and forth, and remind me what happened 2 Saturdays ago before if I forget. But so that's what we did is we got this started, and we. We had it all set up to where we was buying the statues from the same company as my fellow sailor from my ship did. So we was buying them out of a shop in Arkansas, and I made contact with one of our veterans here in northern Colorado that has a pewter business, and I asked him if he could do it. He said, "No, Bart." He says my statues would be way too expensive for you to try to move like you're doing now. And I said, "All right." So about a year later, we was at a hockey game out there at the Bud Center, and he walked by and he says, "Geez, Bart," he says, "I'm looking at these again." He says, "I'd like to take a look at the possibility of doing something." I said, "All right." So I gave him all five statues, one piece, and he took them back to his shop, and he cannibalized them, and he looked every inch and every half inch and every quarter inch to see if there was any trademarks or any patent pendings. Did his due diligence and contacted everybody they could contact, because one thing he didn't want to do,
Yeah.
he didn't want to start doing something and then get a cease and desist order because he was plagiarizing somebody else's work. So uh, these statues were created in another country, and there's no violations. And while you're there on that bottom one, yeah, that's a female statue that he actually did design that we now have offered to our female veterans, and they're all the same looking statue, just like the soldier that we have, and the sailor we have, and we have the marine. They're all the same. There's nothing different.
You didn't mention the airmen.
Air Force airmen, yes. Uh, yeah, I just love this.
You can always
I
tell
don't I don't dare
when
slip up on anything because I got too many ears. And
you,
oh, so
you,
we at first when we first started, all we had was the eagle, which was a very very uh, favorable statue. I mean, the ladies just loved it. As a matter of fact, some of the guys saying, "How can?" And I now take this for as a joke. Don't because all the politics going around. He said, "How can we guys get that? It's just change your sex." Well, that went over pretty good then, but we don't say it anymore
yeah.
because all the pronouns is going around. So
Yeah.
we keep that out of it. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's enough about that. But like I said, like Bill introduced himself as he's a former attorney, and we brought him because he kept his hands in his own pockets, and that was okay. And he's also a retired 7 year state representative for the state of Colorado. So I am so proud to have him on my board of directors, and as a volunteer. Uh, I have started changing it up. I usually take the microphone for every presentation, but we're trying to take some of the responsibility away from me and turn it over to the rest of the team and see if they can't do it. So I'm starting to show some of the veterans that I got on my staff that, hey, this is how we call the veteran. This is how we get the information. This is how we schedule. And then Bill, the last two, every time I've been gone on a vacation or I went to a reunion, Bill took over the responsibility of being able to uh, announce the representative. Well, 2 weeks ago, I was sitting out there just being a volunteer this time, and he calls the last veteran who happened to be a sailor, who happened to be a commissioned officer sailor, called his name, read his bio, called his name, read his bio, no sailor. So as we do all the time, uh, we reported him as AWOL, absent without leave. Okay, so that's what happens when a military person does not show up. They are in report. The police are going after that, and then good old Bill said, "What'd you say, Bill?"
I said, this is how things go with the Navy.
And he had three sailors standing around and just beat him to a pulp
Oh,
right there.
oh, they
Ouch.
gave me some grief. I can tell you that. We try to have fun with it, and it's I can tell you I handed the statues out once, maybe a couple years ago, and this one guy he started crying,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and he said he was a Vietnam veteran, and he said this is the first time anybody's ever given me credit for what I did.
Exactly.
And that's I mean that I never went to Vietnam, but that was the war I was when I was in, and this guy had just he started crying. He nobody had ever and recognized him for what he had done.
Yeah.
So that's really the joy of this is
Hmm.
to give these statues out, and you can just see it in a lot of their faces. They really it gives them it gives us a warm feeling. And
Hmm.
I want to say one thing about that. It's not just me on the board. We've got a really good board. We've got 10 people on the board, and we've got everybody pitches in and tries to help, and we're getting pretty well known over here in the Larimer County area for
Yeah.
doing this, um, and we're basically northern Colorado is what we try to cover. But
Right.
we've sent. I'll give you an example. There's a young man. I'm going to give Bart his biography this tonight. I helped him get in the Air Force Academy when I was in the State House, and he is about to be trained. He's an F-35 pilot, and he's a full bird colonel now, and it looks like he's going to get a star this spring, and he's going to be a base commander in Japan sometime
Wow.
in like May. Well, I'm hoping we can get him a statue.
Yeah.
So to recognize what he's done, he's good. Not a young man anymore. He's in his 40s. But he's
Wow.
done well. He's done well in the Air Force.
Well,
So.
what you heard is he says he sponsored him. So in order to get into the academies, uh, you need to have a state official, such as a senator, or representative, congressperson, to uh, write a letter of
Recommendation.
recommendation,
Yeah.
and
That's what I did.
that's kind of what they kind of look at. You know, they look at the veteran or the person themselves, but you know, you can't be a John Q. You got to be somebody that's earned their way up. Boy Scouts is a good candidate. If somebody was in a Boy Scouts while they was growing up, it shows leadership. And I had my grandson apply, and he had a senator from Florida sponsor him, and he did his interview, and he was declined because he didn't have any leadership during his high school career, and that's something they look at. But going back to these veterans who get this, like Bill said, you know, a lot of these veterans have not been recognized, especially the Vietnam veterans. And I'm gonna put a plug in and say something kind of derogatory about a phrase that we all are using and hearing. I am not, and that's the term era. Uh,
Yeah.
Vietnam era. Now, I'm going to take everybody back to as far as you can go. When the World War II veterans came back from France, and the ones that did not go to France were all World War One veterans. Okay, you never said, well, yeah, I was in during the World War One era. Well, same thing happened when the World War II veterans came home from Japan and Germany. There was no era. Korea, they were not welcome, but the same thing. There was no era. Everybody that was in during the time of those conflicts was a veteran of that war.
Hmm.
Now Vietnam veterans come home. All of a sudden, somebody coined the phrase era. And I allowed that to go on for a long, long time. And I got sick and tired of it because let's go on to the Gulf War. All these veterans are coming home from Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, since the 80s. They're no era. Okay, so it happened before Vietnam, after Vietnam, no era, but only Vietnam. So think of this as a young 17 or 18-year old person who's being inducted into the military. They raise their right hand, they're given an oath, they swear to uphold all that stuff, and now they go off to basic training or they go off to the academies, and now they're full-fledged soldiers, sailors, airmen, or whatever they may be. Now, some of those soldiers and airmen and Marines and all those people, sometimes they stay in the States or they get transferred to Germany or they go to Italy or they're on the East Coast, whatever the case may be. Any one of those soldiers and sailors or airmen has got that same opportunity, the ones that are over there, to get called up.
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories from veterans that said, our unit was on the tarmac. We was in the airplane. We was getting ready to deploy. Well, so to say that you're not a veteran of that war is not fair to them. So I'm trying, and I got a long road. I'll never do it by myself. But the more I bitch about it, the more I complain about it to everybody, there's a great possibility that that era might not be used as much as it was because our veterans are being disgraced. Our Vietnam veterans are being disgraced because they're afraid to use the word Vietnam when they was in the military, and that's not fair to them. So, all right, I'm off my soapbox.
Hey, I completely agree with you, Bart. I actually earlier this morning I had somebody come on and he called himself Vietnam era, and I
Well, we're
and it,
trained. It's
yeah,
muscle memory. We're Pavlov's dog. You tell us, we're going to learn it. We're going to keep it, and then I'm trying to break that mold because it's not fair.
well,
It's,
and
it's
the one thing
Let
that
me let me give you. I got I like to play golf, and one of my buddies, he was in the army during Vietnam, but he got sent to Germany. He never he was in 3 years. He was an artillery officer, and he'll wear a cap that says Vietnam era veteran
Mm.
because he feels like he shouldn't say Vietnam veteran because he never was there.
yeah.
Um, that's. But I agree with Bart. I mean, my dad was in the front lines in Europe in World War II, and he was a forward observer for the field artillery. I've got a statue for my dad here at home.
posthumously, Zach.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Yep.
and
We like to do that.
and right above the statue is I've got framed my dad's Bronze Star and the citation and a picture of my dad in uniform. And it means that those two things together mean a lot to me. And my dad, it wasn't World War II era; he was a World War II veteran. Period. That's. I
Yep.
never heard. I agree with you. I never heard the term World War II era.
Right.
And
Same with my dad. He was World War II in Korea. So,
he
Yeah.
fought in both wars.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, my dad's division was at Marseille, France, being ready for the invasion to be shipped to the Pacific when Truman dropped the bombs. And my dad was a lifelong Republican, but he voted for Truman in '48. And he said the reason he did, he said, he got me home to your mother.
Yeah.
And my dad didn't want to fight. He didn't, just he wanted to get home. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad actually ran the first radio broadcast and leaflet society.
Wow.
All the
Wow.
psyop stuff. Yeah, I
Well,
have.
Janet, thank you for your father's service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's also what I do when I meet someone and they say thank me for my service. My dad, my uncle, my brother, uh, alive, passed away. Doesn't make any difference. I always say, please
Yeah.
thank you and thank them for their service because it took every one of us.
Yeah,
And keep that in
exactly.
mind. Keep that in mind. The people who are stateside, the people in Germany, the
Yep.
people in France, they're all doing something for the cause.
Yep. Exactly
Yeah.
right.
Our
Yeah,
families who
yeah, I was going to
Oh,
say, Bart. That's one of the things that I do. I thank I thank the wives because the
yeah.
wives, the
The
wives took on
sacrifices
a
that the family
completely
make.
different role.
Exactly. Yeah, the sacrifices a family makes are things that no one takes into consideration.
Well, I want to do a little plug for Veterans Honored Veterans because there are there are now, count them, 5 breakfast clubs that are trying to coin the phrase PAMVET, which stands for Proud American Veterans. We have 2 of them in the metropolitan area that are in a Golden Corral. Okay, so now we have three Golden Corral restaurants that are trying to continue with the Proud American Veteran. Uh, the Breakfast Club that's in Loveland and Fort Collins. The owner just bought a restaurant in Greeley, so there's a breakfast club in Greeley that's called Pamvet. So I am trying to get our funds a little higher so we can maybe start sending some of the staff from our Loveland Veterans Honored Veterans to these other restaurants and start spreading these statues around to more and more veterans. But it's going to take a lot more cash than we've got. It's going to take our staff a lot more time because they're going to be traveling. So I want everybody to know that they can go on veteranshonoringveterans.org, and I'm sure Zach will share that for me
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
and put it on his site because it's so important that we continue to get these statues in these veterans' hands. Uh, my biggest concern is our statues with our maker. Oh, by the way, the maker is the guy that's creating these now is a Vietnam veteran,
Mhm.
a Loveland resident, Colorado resident, United States resident. So these are 100% made in America, all the way down to Loveland, Colorado, by a Vietnam veteran. But he's not a young. Well, you know him, Janet. He's Gary
Gary,
Gary Ray, yeah, Gary Ricker. So
love my Gary.
yeah, so it's we got donation button on there. So anybody that wants to uh, jump in there and do a donation, we have a tax number. We'll send you a tax letter that will allow you to write it off on your taxes for a charity. So please, anybody that might be watching this, feel free to go in there and spend some of your hard-earned money on a statue for a veteran.
And you and
Well,
I need to connect and let me see what I can do to help too.
Janet,
yeah,
we've been talking about getting together for coffee. We just got to make a date,
We got to
sweetheart.
do it.
Yeah.
well, Bart and Bill, I brought on a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine and somebody who runs a website that I would really like to connect you guys, and I will do that via email. But this is Santa Papa John. He is a really good friend of mine. He and I do a lot of things together. But Santa, can you please tell them a little bit about Warriors Beacon of Hope? Because I think that these guys belong on that website.
Well, how's my microphone sounding?
Hey, you know what? You don't sound like a damn robot. So
Well,
you're
that's good.
all good.
Awesome. The last time I jumped on this about an hour and a half ago, it was like wah 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 because computers have a wonderful way of changing your settings all by themselves, and I had to go into my settings and going, what the frick is going on? Well, nice to meet you both. And, I'm Santa Papa John, and I have been doing Santa going on. I just finished my 8th season. Yes, I do the normal things of the home visits, the daycares, the businesses, but I'm a retired truck driver with 3 million miles under my belt. And then through the power of networking, I started expanding my horizons, expanding my thinkings, and, I've got well over 100,000 followers on social media.
Wow.
And I ran into quite a few veterans that started saying to me, I'm on the waiting list. And I said, we're the biggest and the baddest in the country in the world. Why do we have to treat our veterans like this? This is not acceptable. We have to do something better. So through many conversations with my wife and her praying to God and meeting Zach and different people, I said, what does Santa have to do with veterans? And the conversations went on that, Santa's a reliable, he's an honest character that, can promote some positive things for our veterans. And through the conversations, the warriorsbeaconofhope.com has now sprouted. And what it is a veteran site that, through the conversations that I've had with many, many different veterans, many, many different organizations, I said, is there not a national list of services to help our veterans? Because Bill goes on holiday, he lives in Seattle, he goes to on holiday St. Louis, and all of a sudden he needs some services. And where does he go to look? If he doesn't know anybody in a group, an organization, doesn't have a contact, he doesn't know where to go to look, what's available in St. Louis. And I started digging deep and I started asking questions. And I said, this is absolutely dumb. To put it plain and simple, this is absolutely dumb in the fact that why is there not these resources available to these veterans, to these service people, to anybody that is looking for alternative choices for services other than what the VA and their closed mind thinking can do. Now, I'm not saying the VA does a bad job. They do a wonderful job and they help a lot of people, but sometimes you're on the waiting list. And, for me, it was a young man that was 24 years old, done 4 tours, signed up for his 5th tour. He couldn't tell mom and dad that he loved them anymore. He had seen so many things overseas that it had affected his brain cells. And where have we seen that before? Where have we talked to people like this before? And I said to him, I said, when was the last time you went and seen a psych? And he says, I'm on the waiting list and it's going to be 5 or 6 months and I'm going to be deployed in 4. I said, this is not acceptable. We have to do better. We have to do bigger, brighter, better things for our veterans. So I was able to introduce them to a few people, but that's how this mission started out for me. And what it is I'm compiling a list, a nationwide list. It's growing slowly. I'm having some issues, getting people to convince, but you know what? It's growing steadily. But it's not just services. There's meetings. Because Janet, when you go searching, I'm in Philadelphia. I want to find a veterans meeting for somebody in Philadelphia. There's no listing there. You got to be a member of the club, the organization, the group to find out who, when, where, and how they're having meetings and where they are.
Right. And why is it all a secret? That's what kills me. It's like,
I'm starting to compile some of these lists of meetings because of that exact reason. This is reaching out, this is helping, this is supporting a wonderful community that is reaching out saying, we need some help. We're looking for some guidance. We're looking for some answers. And then the funny thing is scholarships. I was talking to a lady and her husband's a retired veteran and her son was college age and he was getting ready to go to college. What scholarships are available to veterans? She couldn't find any. 2 months after her son was already in school, she ended up talking to some guy and he goes, oh, you want the list? And she goes, what list are you talking about? Well, here he sent her a list of about 100 scholarships set up specifically for children of veterans. Again, why, like your comment, Janet, why is it a big secret?
yeah.
So
Well, because I
now,
think part of what happens is that nonprofits end up thinking that they're in competition with all the other nonprofits. And
Yeah.
that's why no one wants to give out the information because they're afraid that they're going to get cannibalized by somebody else.
yeah,
Instead of saying, look, we all need to work together because we all have the same common cause to help. So,
hello,
Well,
yeah,
you also got to remember there's been some bad nonprofits
sure.
that
Yeah.
took the money
oh, those
from the
never
good
exist.
people
Come
and
on.
and put it into their pocket. So,
Mhm.
uh, and they're very, 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 very big one too. A
Yeah,
very
and they're
powerful.
still around.
They're still around. You know.
Yeah.
Well, Zach will know exactly where I'm going with this statement. In that last meeting that we were on, that we were a bunch of great people, a bunch of family members that support each other. That was one of the big parts of the conversation. We all know who the top five organizations that fundraise, that quote support and help people, but we don't know who the bottom 5,000 are, that
Right.
are all screaming, that are all willing to help, that are willing to step their foot out, whatever it takes, that are willing to give a hand and a leg and a feet and their ear. More importantly, they're willing to sit there and listen to veterans when they need some support. And
Organizations like Veterans Honoring Veterans. And I mean, John, I think of it this way, and I think one of the reasons why I really wanted to connect you with Bart and Bill here and introduce you to the wonderful Janet is quite simply this. You've got a thing working where you're talking about putting events on Warrior website. Could you imagine if every veteran that came to visit Northern Colorado knew about the Pam Vet breakfasts? They're already packed. They're
yeah,
already packed. They've already got more people than seats.
yeah.
But could you imagine how much more celebration there could be if if everyone who served and everyone who supported our veterans saw that there was something twice a month at these restaurants that we could go to and we could stand beside these heroes. Could you imagine how much power that would have? And potentially, Bart, that could be a potential to really start the fundraising and get it working in the right way.
But more importantly than the celebration, Zach, is how powerful would the communicate, how powerful would the talk, would the conversation be, that there would be some place that they could go to talk openly. What a concept that would be,
Yeah.
to fellow veterans, to people that support them, that are honoring them, that are helping them. What a conversation, to be a fly on the wall, to listen to some of those conversations. That would be absolutely breathtaking.
Yep. Yep. So, um, Bart, and Bill, I want to thank you guys so very much for jumping on here.
You bet.
And I also want to say, how damning it was for the show not to see Bart in his beauty.
I know.
It it I think it might be, and I've heard some tough stories today, guys. All right, but not seeing Bart's beautiful face, that might be the thing that like, yeah, broke my heart the most today. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, Zach, that makes me feel good, really does. But I really today I wanted to share my vice president because uh, Bill is a great asset to me. He takes care of any problems I have, any legal things which never comes up, but takes care of our nonprofit stuff like that. So
And
um,
where are you located, Bart?
they're
we are
right.
we are in Loveland.
Yep, they're right next to us in Colorado. They
Yeah,
are.
Excellent.
Yeah,
this
And
is
they're.
what
Bill.
about you, Janet?
I
I'm
didn't
in
get a chance.
Windsor.
I didn't get a chance to say this, but I've only had to bail Bart out twice.
Oh man.
They were bar
And
fights,
hey,
weren't they?
and I got out on a PR bond, so we didn't have to spend any money. That's important to say because I got to make sure everybody we're up and up on our money.
Yeah,
Everything,
we are.
Yeah,
everything, go,
Oh,
everything
yes,
goes.
absolutely. Because for every person that you say, I'm honest and truthful, there's 50 that are saying, what are you hiding?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's nothing. Everyone that serves and works on our program does it for free.
yep,
Nobody gets paid a penny.
But
yep.
I do put on their salary when they do a good job. I add a zero to the end of their zero.
Awesome.
That's great.
I,
That's
I,
great.
I've,
You
I've
know,
given I've given Bill at least 3 pay raises in the last 6 months.
Awesome. I love it.
He
Hey,
always
Bart,
is two times zero.
this one will blow you away, Bart. When I started asking serious questions about the list that I'm building, and I started communicating, and I started getting into some really good conversation with different people, someone finally said to me, "Oh, wait, there is a list." I says, "There's a national list?" "Yes." I says, "How come nobody knows about it?" "Well, they charge $5,000 a year to be on this list." And I went, "Oh, nobody knows about it because nobody
Yeah.
can afford to be on it because every organization that I talk to can barely afford to
because
pay the cell phone bill."
Yeah.
because there's 5 companies on it, and we know what five those are.
Yeah.
So,
So, so
and by the way, Bart, the last time I got out on bond, it was because of a PU bond. So figure that one out. But
Yeah. Hey,
we'll
Zach,
just
last time Zach and I met, we met at the library in Loveland where I gave his dad a statue.
no, that was my uncle's statue.
That's
That
your
was
uncle?
my
Okay.
uncle. Yeah, yeah, that was my uncle's statue. So yeah. Yeah, yeah. You actually gave my dad the one in the park with my with
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
so yeah, but yeah. So look, Bart and Bill, Bill, I look forward to meeting you in person.
You bet.
We're gonna
Let's
have to
write
get
that.
up to the we're gonna have to get up to a breakfast here pretty soon. Maybe we can drag Janet out there and we can all get together and sit around
Okay.
and talk like humans instead of
Uh-oh.
talk like people on a telephone or on a computer screen.
Well, I gotta figure out the camera thing and figure out why it didn't work. So I got to talk to my geek squad and say, hey, why? Because before we got on, before we actually hooked up, you told me to go to Facebook. We were on the camera. I mean,
Yeah.
the camera's working. So, but I just don't know why Facebook won't let it on. And the other one, when I went to your link in the email, that's where we started it twice. It was working
And
fine.
we
So
and we were on.
Yeah, I don't know this.
IT.
Well,
We
it tries to force you to download Chrome, which I think might be part of the issue. So I don't know what browser part's on, but I bet you it's not Chrome.
Well, it tries to make you do it, but it usually doesn't require it.
Yeah, this time it wouldn't
Usually.
give you an out. And luckily I already had Chrome, so I just went ahead and put
Oh,
the link in Chrome, but it didn't let you back out of it. It wasn't like no, not now or anything else. So I feel like that
well,
might be part of it.
we
Um,
actually started talking about it last night, and I think that we're going to move on to a different streaming thing because this one has just been problematic. We can't use StreamYard anymore; they're just too ridiculously priced. But
Yeah.
so we're thinking about doing something else.
I
But
always
yeah,
revert. I always revert back to the I/O problem.
I
I/O is idiot operator.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
can't. I can't get it to work. It's my fault.
yeah. My producer is that other guy that looks a lot like me, but stoned all the time. So, yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, I think our half an hour is up. I don't want to run into somebody else's time, but I tell you what, even without us you getting to see us, we've had an awful awesome time. And
Yeah.
Janet, I really want to. As soon as I get off here, I'll probably text you and say, hey, let's look at some time next week maybe and see if we can't meet. And
Definitely.
Zach, when you guys get a chance to come over for breakfast, we're still knocking between 150, 170 every Saturday. We've been over 230, 240 a couple times, and
Wow.
uh, our other little place, the one in Greeley, knocking down 25 to 50. Uh, we just got one in Longmont starting. Thornton is starting, and we've got one in Boulderman starting. So, if the more we spread the word about being able to do breakfast for veterans, and then veterans can always bring their spouse. I say,
Right.
bring your husband and wife, or husband and boyfriend, but don't bring them at the same time.
Yeah.
Darn,
There
there
you
went my
go.
plan.
Well, Janet,
Well, it's
there's
been a pleasure
exception for
meeting
you.
all three of
So,
you, and
You
I'm
bet.
sure Zach will forward my information, and I
yep.
look
Yes.
forward to having a conversation and how I can support your groups.
So,
Okay.
well, Bart, Bill, thank you so very much. Janet, sweetheart, I love
Thank
you.
you.
I thank you for everything. And I greatly appreciate you guys. Bart, you're one of my very best friends. And this show just seriously is never the same without you. And I don't think you've been on all 4 years. So, and I don't want you to miss a show. So,
Uh,
you know,
I like it. I like having this opportunity to visit with you, meet other people, and get out there in the world and say, here we are.
well, I'm always going to support you, and I'm so proud that you always support me. So thank
And
you.
congratulations on this Veterans Nonprofit Development Professional. Got to learn more about that.
Yeah.
That would be just what I do because I'm currently looking, but we'll talk about that.
All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah, maybe not for long. Saying, just saying.
I
So,
know.
all right, I love you guys. Thank you so very much. Hopefully, we get to see you. We get all get together here real soon. So, Janet Hatfield and Bart and Bill, thank you all so very much. You guys are dear friends, and I love you all.
Nice to meet you, Papa John. Thanks, buddy.
Nice meeting you guys. You take care and look forward to having a conversation.
All
All right.
right. So, well, we have 10 minutes before. Oh wow, we've got 6 minutes, John,
Yeah,
until
I see that.
this guy goes out there for a couple hours and probably closes these things
Uh huh.
and hope to God he wakes up in 2 hours.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So yeah,
First of
because
all, set the alarm clock. Second of all, tell the wife what time you need to be woken up by because you're not going to hear the alarm clock because you're going to be so sound asleep that you're going to do what I've done many times and just go reach over and go clunk and just don't even wake up and just keep going on with the Z's.
you know what's funny actually about that, John, is that I say that, but I'm going to go out there, I'm going to lay down, and I'm going to sit there and go, I wonder what's going on the show, and I'm going to turn on the show, and I'm going to sit there and watch it for the 2 hours, and then I'm going to get back in here with 3 hours to go and go, I could have slept.
Uh,
So, it happens every year,
yep. Yep.
every
No
year.
kidding.
So, but Papa John, I really want to thank you, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring you on right then and there is because I wanted you to meet that group of people.
Yeah.
I have worked closely with them for years now, and it Janet was let go from an organization, and it just broke my heart when that happened because they, look, smart people think they're smarter than they are
Oh,
sometimes,
we've all heard the stories.
and it just she would be I'm telling you right now, if I had a pot to piss in, that lady would be working for this company, and she I would let her run it because she is just so smart, she is so brilliant, and that other company, they're feeling it now. They're
Good.
feeling it now.
Good.
You can't let go of
Hey,
good
I
people.
heard you
We
had a good
know that. We're seeing it everywhere.
I heard you had a good conversation with Peter the other day.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's got some pretty amazing ideas, and this new technology is really lighting up the screen, and we'll see where it's going. I'm going to, we're just working on a big, I'm going to be doing a big advertising campaign for him here, and he's just blown away on what I've come up with for a script for it, and I've done a couple versions now, and there's been a couple little glitches in it that we're going to fine tune, but he turned around and told me this morning, he says, he says, once we fine tune this a little bit more, he says, I'm going to be sending this to 160,000 nonprofits just in the UK. How many is there in the United States? I'm going, millions. You
yeah,
so, I mean, it's for nonprofits, this is a pretty big opportunity to venture into something new and exciting that especially the younger people are going to understand and fully take advantage of. And for nonprofits, it could be a big way to raise some pretty steady money.
yeah. Hey, Jeremy, if you're there, please pop on. I want to introduce you to Papa John. He's got an amazing program that he's doing, and I'd love for you to come on. Papa, do me a favor. This is a really good friend of mine. This is Jeremy York. He's the founder of Things Network, the paranormal group. But Papa John, tell us all real quick about what you're doing with people with autism and people with dementia.
Absolutely. Jeremy, what is nice to meet you. My name is Santa Papa John. I'm from Minnesota. And what does Santa do after Christmas? Everybody always asks that wonderful question. Well, right above my head, right there. I'm a storyteller. It's becoming such a lost art. But now I read stories every Wednesday night online for free. And I can get you the link, and Zach can get you the link for that. Absolutely. I made a custom family story for Zach and all his grandchildren last year. But now I'm taking it through the power of networking, Jeremy. People have said you've got a gift, you've got an ability, you've got a way to create some positive, happy, joyful stories. Take it to the next level. And of course, your ears go bing, bing, bing. What's the next level? Take it to nursing homes, senior care, group homes with autistic children and adults. We all know they need another reason to smile, giggle, and laugh because sometimes they don't even have one. So I've created a 1 hour interactive on Zoom way of telling stories, way of answering questions, way of interacting with all these different residents. And I can do it worldwide. I had a very good one-on-one with a young lady last week from Australia. I did not know this. She was a retired teacher. She was a retired librarian that had started reading stories during COVID when everything was shut down, and then she stopped because she got too busy with it. And when I told her what I was doing, she was absolutely blown away. So she's now sharing my information all around Australia. I'm doing a bunch of stuff with people in Scotland and England, and of course, I'm building it up in the U.S. and Canada. So I'm looking for introductions for activity directors, and I'm having fun with this. This has changed my life and changed my world. And my stories are not the same old, same old, same old. And they're not always about Christmas. They're not always about elves. Last week, I did a story about a cookie and how it was meant to be shared. Well, I had a psychologist who was 76 years old on my story time. And I'm reading this story. I ran into him the following Monday and he said, John, he says, I really got to tell you that your story was so good. He says, my mouth was watering. You were describing the cookies. So I found another new little niche for Santa to share happiness year round worldwide.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh, Jeremy's got a lovely daughter with who has autism, and so when I was telling him about your program, I wanted to make sure that Jeremy knew about it, and so I wanted to make sure that I was able to bring you on and introduce you to him as well. So, uh, where
where are you, Jeremy?
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay, so you're an hour ahead of me. So I read stories for free every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central. That might be a little bit late for your daughter, but it wouldn't be the first time someone said, maybe try an hour earlier to see. I haven't done that yet, but I've come up. Is she still living at home? How old is she now?
She's 20.
Does she live in a group home setting or does she still live at home?
She's not. She's home.
Okay.
Yeah, she's home. For her, the what she has is a genetic mutation that how basically she wouldn't understand a single word anybody says to her.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
to put it simple, yeah. She understands more emotions and tones,
Yep. Yep.
but for words, she doesn't understand hardly anything.
Have you been introduced to Mary Stanley from southern Minnesota?
Probably not.
We need to connect and some information, and I would love to give you an introduction with her. She's got two autistic children, and she was so fed up and frustrated with the lack of communication from the doctors on not giving her the answers. And I know you're going, yep, I've been doing this for 20 years. And she turned around and she started her own foundation, and she now speaks to people all over the country on different ways to interact with autistic children and neurodivergent, and just give them some answers. So it's she's a wealth, and I work with her quite we do a lot of stuff together, and I've met her children, and they're beautiful children, and they're wonderful. One is really high on the spectrum, and one's really low on the spectrum. So it's you know but the older girl, she loves listening to my stories, and she pays attention. And she says, Mary says, I've never seen my kid pay attention to a screen for 45 minutes in my life. Well, I can get her going on my screen for 45, 50 minutes. So that's, I'm not saying I'm the best and there is, but boy, I'm sure learning, and I'm taking one step at a time, and I'm having fun.
Oh yeah, with autistic children, it's going to be learning every single time because there's always something a little different.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
all right. Well, Papa John, thank you very much for joining us. But I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to call in the boss, and I'm going to let her take over for a little bit with Jeremy. They're going to bring a little bit of paranormal to the mission. So
Awesome.
they're going to be talking about something a little bit different than what we talk about, which is fantastic because you know what? We've all had heavy stories, we've all had funny stories, but you know what? It's time to have some fun stories as well. So
Oh,
let's,
absolutely.
yeah.
And
So
you text me if you need me to jump on any time for the rest of the evening. I will come and support and help you out if you need some help. So just text me if you need me more.
you got it, brother. I will do that. All right.
Nice meeting you, Jeremy. I hope your show goes over fun. I hope you enjoy yourself, and you know, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Sounds good.
All right. So that's Santa Papa John. Thank you very much. Jeremy, what you guys going to be talking about tonight?
We're actually going to talk about what happened to Adrian when she was working at the hospital. She's told the story on Supernatural Talk a few times, but she's never told it during this event. We're still going to be telling some heavy stories.
Oh, right on. So you're going to talk to my TV star wife. I
No, we're not going.
might not have to worry about taking a nap. I'm going to get my ass knocked out.
We're not talking about that story. We're talking about the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, I'm going to let you take over for the next couple hours. You and Adrian, you guys have fun. I know that when we switch to when it comes time for Lynn to come on, we got to switch to the next.
Right.
We got to switch to the next studio. But I just sent Lynn the link for this one if she wants to join you guys in about an hour. But until then, I hope you guys have a good show. I'm going to get out of here for a little bit. So thank you very much.
Go
Bye
get
bye.
your old pizza out of the fridge.
I'm going to go ahead and get our video going.
I'm going to get my old piece out.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to it. Almost got you.
Almost.
Almost got you. Welcome to another edition of Supernatural Talk, where we are participating in the Mission for Healthy Heroes 2026. Um, I believe this is actually the first year that this show is a part of it.
I think we were a part of it last year because it was a Thursday, so we just did our segment on it.
Were we? I don't remember. I remember you and Jan did a segment.
We did, but one year, maybe it wasn't last year because this is a Sunday, but maybe the first year it was a Thursday, and we just did our show as well.
Let's see. Last year, no, last year was a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, but either way, for those who are joining us, get prepared for something a little different, or not so much, because we are going to be telling a story that is still kind of heavy hitting. It's something that Adrian has told a few times on Supernatural Talk, but never actually on the marathon. Um, but it actually, it ties in because it was a very traumatic experience and people were severely affected by it. Um, just, just an all around bad story. Nothing good, I don't think, ever came out of it.
It didn't.
So it doesn't involve mil- actually no, it does not involve military, but it does involve nurses and doctors, which are every bit the heroes that military personnel are, because they're the ones, quite frankly, that are saving people's lives. I know they saved mine 4 years ago.
Mhm.
Uh, they saved Zach's over a decade ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so we're gonna jump right into it. Adrian is basically going to be doing most of the talking because this is her story, something that she went through, and yeah, well, take it away.
Yeah. So in the late 90s, I was working at a hospital, small local hospital. If anybody wants to look it up, it was Veneta, Oklahoma. Um, it was Craig General Hospital. I was a head cook there. My best friend and I were, partners in cooking, and she was my assistant. We had been there. I'd actually been there 4.5 years when this happened, and all of a sudden, my friend comes walking down the hallway. It's about 4 p.m. She comes walking down the hallway, and she says, she's white. I mean, white as a sheet. And she goes, "Diana's dead." I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Diana, our nurse, she's dead." I said, "Is she in the ER?" She goes, "I don't know." Like, she was completely. I said, "Okay, um, let's go see." And so we started walking down the hallway, and our kitchen was way at the end of the hospital. We start walking down the hallway, and ICU is at the end of the hallway. And she said, "No, she's there." What? I look over the desk, and our head nurse is laying there. The brains are splattered all the way up to the computer, which is about 5 feet away. Oh, I said, and she's covered with a sheet at this point, but the brain matter obviously is not. And I was trying to figure out what had happened, and all of a sudden we get this over the intercom: "We're on lockdown. You're not allowed to call out. You're not allowed to do anything." Cell phones weren't really, you had to be pretty rich to have a cell phone at that point. And I'm like, okay, I have a family at home that
How
No. Do what? What'd you say, Jerry?
I didn't say anything.
Why is there an echo?
I'm not hearing one.
Okay, that's good. Maybe it's just on my end. Um, but
Probably.
she's like, I don't know what's going on. We go back and we still have to serve our food to our patients, including the ICU patients, which means we have to walk around her. At this point, Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations is in, the city police are in, the sheriffs are in, and the state police are there. We can't leave. At this point, we cannot make calls in or out. We find out, and I don't even remember how we found out, but we find out that there was a man that came in and he was dressed in military fatigues. And he had walked in and she was on the phone to her daughter. Her daughter was making wedding plans and she was talking to her about the wedding plans and was shot while talking to her daughter. So her daughter got to hear this. And so let's back up a little bit. There was 2 girls missing in our town. It was suspected that the sheriff in that town had something to do with it. One of the parents were drug dealers. The other parent I had worked for in my teens at McDonald's. She was the manager there. And those 2 kids were best friends, and they had went to the drug dealer's house to spend the night. They were missing. The house was burned down. No sign of the girls. Now, mind you, this is 30 years later. Still no sign of the girls. We still don't know. We had posters on the back of every semi truck across the country, everything. No girls. Still haven't found them. But this nurse was friends with the mom and was going to go on Unsolved Mysteries and talk about what happened. She was going to talk about the sheriff and his involvement. And she was warned days before that, do not go on there. And she basically, like me, said, F you. I will do what I want. And this is how this is going to go. She got shot. The guy that shot her was a mental patient. His mother had died at that hospital. He blamed that hospital for his mother's death. But the whole thing about it was, how did he get a gun? He had been a mental patient for years and years and years and just purchased a gun.
Which never should have happened.
No, he had help. He had help from the sheriff's department. This same sheriff, later it came out, there was sexual abuse charges. There was all kinds of things. It was bad. So, and the thing is, when you go to work, it doesn't matter if you are a cook, a nurse, a CNA, whatever the case might be. This is a chance you take going anywhere these days.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're going to the grocery store. This is chances you're taking. But these people knew that this is a chance they were taking, especially this lady. She knew. And if anybody was to look it up, her name is Deanna. She knew that this was a serious possibility. And she wanted to do what was right. Not just in her nursing field, but in her community. Wanted to do what was right. And this is what happened. Now, the rest of us, we didn't know all the ins and outs for quite a while. But we had to listen to this and all the rumors and as a matter of fact, one of the nurses, the man went outside. He had a sword when he went outside. And of course, the police surrounded him and said, you know, down or you're going to get shot. And he stood on one of the nurses' cars. Well, he got shot. And that nurse had to drive around because she had no more money to buy another vehicle. She had to drive around with that gunshot and blood in her car from where he was taken down. And you know, all these personnel came back the next day. Every one of us. And we came back like nothing happened. We had to take care of patients. That was our job. That's what we had to do. But, you know, of course, you know, this many years later, I don't think about it too often unless, you know, something like this comes up. I look up how the daughter's doing. You know, she has kids now that mom never got to see. She has, as a matter of fact, I think one of her daughters, her granddaughters, would have been her granddaughters, is now pregnant. She would have a great grandkid now.
Wow.
So, you know, this is all things that have been missed. And all because somebody came to work and tried to do the right thing. Now, in this day and age, you know, we're looking at police officers, first responders, EMTs. When they go out there, they are looked at, especially with everything going on in the world right now, especially in the US. They are looked at as the wrong side from some people. And they are not respected like they used to be.
Right.
So, you know, they go out there, all the only thing on their mind, they are trained and they took an oath to save lives. They go to a scene, let's say they go to a murder scene. They have to calculate how much blood was lost at that scene. What do they think was lost? And they have to call that in ahead of the ambulance to the doctor that's about to see them. You know, okay, 2 liters of blood lost, you know, whatever. You know, they have to concentrate. They have to do this while they have people on the sidelines calling them names because they are working with the police. Our police officers are going in and, you know, of course there's bad police officers. There's bad everything.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, they're there every day. When they wake up in the morning, I can't imagine waking up in the morning and thinking, how many people are going to hate me today? When you took that job, 90% of them took that job because they wanted to help people. And this is no longer the case. I mean, they're sure they still want to help people, but you wake up thinking, I am one of the most hated professions in this world. And I have to go out there and act accordingly, you know, like, you know, I have to care about people. It's hard to care about people. If you ever look at TikTok or even Facebook, where they have body cams of police officers that are being cursed, called names, called racist, called, you know, whatever the case might be. And they still keep it professional. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
It would be a very hard thing to do that.
Absolutely. But they do it. I couldn't. I would tell them where they could shove it. That's why I'm not a police officer. But
And I'm sure there are some who do.
with the body cams now, they really can't because they can get that charge thrown out. Now, the body cam might accidentally go out, which mine definitely would. And I would tell them exactly what they thought, but that is why I am not a police officer or a first responder. I could not. right when people act that way, but they do. Most of them do. They act perfectly correctly when people are acting like hoodlums.
I miss when it was like during the initial months after 9/11. Every police officer, every doctor, every nurse, they were treasured.
Yeah. Yep.
They were revered. They were so respected. And now, 25 years later, like you said, they are the most hated people. Among the most hated people, let me put it that way.
And it's not okay because you have two choices when something happens. You call those peace officers and have them come handle the situation,
Mhm.
or you handle that situation, you go to prison. That's your choices.
Pretty much.
I mean, what choice are you going to take? If you're sane, you're going to call them. If of course, if there's an immediate emergency and it's your life or theirs, yeah, that's a different story. But they still have to come in and do a correct analysis of that scene. They have your life in their hands. They have
Well,
their life
yeah.
in their hands. It's not a job I would like to do. So
Yeah, because you never know one day or the other if somebody's going to target you.
thanks, Nikki. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go there. I was working as a paralegal right after the hospital. I was working as a paralegal. As a matter of fact, I was going to go to law school. The attorney that I was working for was going to put me through law school and give me his firm. Great, fine. When you raise 5 kids, though, that doesn't work out real well.
Well, you definitely got the chops for a lawyer. You can argue the hell out.
I could, and he recognized that. We were in a podunk town in Kentucky, and for years he had this law firm for years and years, and he should be retired by now, but I've talked to him since, and he's not. He's working out of Louisville right now, but that's not where he was working at the time. He had a firm where we were at and a firm in Louisville. But it was such a small town that they would take the files, like the computers weren't a thing when he started. Like they were, but all you did was like write programs on them and
Mhm.
maybe your document, and that was it. It didn't hold files. It didn't do any of that. So it's like, okay. He said, well, I've got this, like these really old buildings that were storefronts, and then at the top there were apartments. He stored things in this storage building at the top of a storefront.
So that's where all his files are at.
That's where all the files were at. I was in charge of disposing of those files because they were over 50 years old.
Gee.
Yeah, him and his dad. I'm like, okay. We disposed of them in a bonfire. I mean, Podunk, Kentucky.
That'd be about the easiest way to do it because that's a lot of paper shredding.
We had a bonfire and we had fun doing it. But while I was working there, I was in charge of family law and disability cases because a paralegal can argue disability cases. Family law, I did the intake. I briefed him on the way to the courthouse. Courthouse was 2 blocks away from our office. We would walk there and I'd brief him on the way.
Okay.
That's, that's a lot of responsibility,
Yeah, it would be.
but it was fun. And
Because that's people's lives in your hands.
it is.
right
Very
there.
much is. And what people don't understand is yes, there's opposing sides. There's her attorney, his attorney, or, there's a criminal attorney and there's the state, it might be an assigned attorney. But in the end, we all go to lunch together. This is not a personal vendetta. We do our best in the courtroom. We all go to lunch together. We're all friends. That's the way it is. They portray it on TV as, oh, this is so terrible. We're all friends. We have a job to do, and we're all friends.
One of my all time favorite shows is Suits.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we would all go to lunch together. Well, one of my clients, his clients, but my client, saw us all going to lunch together because we all went to the park. It was a nice day. We had a picnic. He followed me home with a gun because I was the face. It wasn't the attorney. I'm the one that did the intake. I'm the one that did the documents. I'm the one that talked to him. He followed me home with a gun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. Threatened to kill me because he lost his case. He lost his case because he was an abusive idiot. But, all he saw was me. Not the attorney that fought. It was me. And thankfully, by the time I got home and he pulled that gun, my husband had one too.
Mm.
And he quietly left. Thank goodness. That was the end of my paralegal career. I said, I'm done. I do not want to be a lawyer. I'm good.
Yeah,
But,
because you're very likely to have a lot of people pissed off at you simply because you lost the case.
Yep. Yep. And that is something that happens, and that's something that happens with most fields. Even in my line of work right now, if somebody knew where I lived because they didn't get what they wanted, could
I I know you've told me some of the stories.
they could very well come find me. Thankfully, we don't have to give out any information except our first name. Good luck finding me on the first name. Matter of fact, I Googled first and last name, and there's about 100 of us in the U.S. So I'm good. But, and this doubles down on first responders, on police, on, it really doubles down on them. If somebody were to follow them home, and I'm sure they do, they just don't tell those stories so that others don't do that.
When that happened to you, did you report it?
I did. But our town was a town of 3 policemen, 1 main policeman, 2 understudies.
Oh boy.
And this was the town that I would be going over the speed limit by a little, not much. I'd get a phone call. I'd pick it up while I'm driving. Hey, do you really want me to pull you over? What? I said, girl, you better slow your ass down. I said, yeah, whatever. Meet me at the restaurant.
That's actually kind of funny.
Right on there.
Wow.
I never got a ticket. I got a call.
That doesn't happen.
It does in a small town. This is Taylorsville, Kentucky. Look it up. Not very many people.
What, Kentucky?
Taylorsville.
Taylor, of course.
Yep. It is a tiny, tiny little town.
Okay. I put Taylorsville in there. Kentucky comes up. Mississippi comes up. Utah, North Carolina, California. There's one in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. Yep, and that's where I worked.
That's right by Louisville.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's why he had an office out of both places.
That is a tiny town.
Now look up Mount Eden, Kentucky.
It,
That's where I actually lived.
Mount where?
Mount Eden. 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 Then you'll understand why the phone call.
Yeah, that's even smaller. They're both basically blink and you miss.
That's it. We used to ride horses into town.
That'd be fun.
It was a different lifestyle. That is for sure.
Yeah, and you're deep in the mountains too.
Yep. And that's the thing. The police there were respected. The reason for that was they were known. And if they did something wrong outside of their duties, it was known and they were out.
Well, Mount Eden, well, even Taylorsville, gives me Mayberry vibes.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Oh, yeah. Everybody helps everybody. That's just the way it is. Now, if I was going
That
10,
won't happen anymore.
no. Well, it does there. But if I was going 10 over the speed limit, yeah, I'd get stopped. That'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I did get taken to jail while living in Mount Eden. I sure did.
And how did that go?
I still have respect for every cop that was there. I lived out in the country, and husband was at work. I was out in the garden. 5 kids. 5. And my husband wrote a rent check, and I wrote the rent check. Neither one of us knew the other one had done it. Mine bounced. Well, when you have a $500, which, yes, it was $500 back then. When you have a $500 check bounce, that's a felony. That's serious. I didn't even know about it. I get a cop come to my door. He says, "Sweetie, I got to take you in." Mind you, let's go back. I'm in my 20s, okay? I'm in Daisy Dukes and a tank top out in my garden. I look down. I'm like, I'm filthy. I'm not dressed. And what's my kids going to do? And he said, "Come on, let's go in." He goes inside my house. He said, "Let's make some calls." We made some calls. My landlord came and watched the kids. Well, I went. He let me get dressed. He let me take a shower. He waited. Well, I did all that. Well, the landlord came, watched the kids. I went in. Mind you, I work for the attorney at this point. And he said, "We're going to call your attorney." I was like, "Why? I can do this." He said, "No, ma'am, you're not." Okay. I sat in this damn cell for 12 hours. 12 hours because they didn't call the judge.
Really?
By the time they called the judge, there was hell to pay because they were pissed off that they didn't call him. These people go above and beyond. It was a mistake. It was no big deal. I was not angry because in all reality, I didn't communicate. This is my fault, not anybody else's. But this is what they do. And they still do this. If you look anything up in Taylorsville, this is still what they do. This is normal. In small towns, this is the way it is. I was out, went to court within a week, all charges dropped, done.
Because it was only a mistake and not something you intended to do.
Right. But, I got to see jail. It's not fun. It was cold. Because when they first put you in, they put you in suicide watch. Because apparently, people are pretty distraught when they go in.
which is understandable.
Absolutely. And I had drunks in there with me. I had all kinds of fun people. But this is, these are things they do on a daily basis. Yet, we only see the bad. Good stories are hardly ever told.
That is correct. And
So,
the reason for that is because good stories are not entertaining enough.
they're not, they're not. So, where is their mental status? And who is taking care of them? Something I looked up today, and it's actually really scary. We see on TV, different shows that we watch. We see on TV where police talk to psychiatrists if something happens, things like that. What about on a daily basis? What about their normal, they go through hell every single day. Good cops do. What happens to them? Do they have someone to talk to each week? They don't. Only if they're pulled in. What they did say in this study was that most first responders, police officers, FBI, all of that will not speak to somebody honestly. Because if they do, their job's in jeopardy.
And I can't say I blame them,
Right.
because what you say to the psychiatrist,
That determines your fitness for the job.
right? Technically, it's supposed to be all confidential. It's only supposed to be in the records, but since the company is paying for them, they
Yep.
have the rights to those records.
They do. They do. And they will recommend to, their boss, whoever it is, hey, I don't think this person's fit for right now. Just because they made mention that they're in rock bottom. I understand it from a political standpoint. If a police officer is at rock bottom, they can make questionable decisions. But what if it was just that moment that they felt like they were at rock bottom because of that day? We all have those days.
Yes, we do.
And if we were to tell somebody about it, we don't have a job anymore, that would make you not do it.
The one thing that I could see, say you're rock bottom that day, then the next day you're not. That could also give the impression that you might be bipolar.
Yep. Yep.
So,
All these diagnoses are great. We're recognizing them. That's great. But there's another side to that. What if it's just that day? I would probably be classified as bipolar because, one day's bullshit at work is like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm done with people. I don't like people today.
what if you hit rock bottom that day? Why not just cancel your session?
I don't know if they can. Like, say they go out and that day they had to fire their gun. And when they did, it actually made contact, which it should. If they're firing it, it should.
Now, I do know that it is probably the case in all police departments that if somebody fires a gun, um, now I don't know if rather they have to hit somebody or not hit somebody. If somebody fires a gun, they are automatically placed on suspension.
Yep. Yep.
because investigation has to take place, and then they have to do the interviews. Um,
Right.
to make sure of the policeman's state of mind.
Yeah. I
So,
don't know about like city police or sheriffs. I do know the FBI. If they do hit someone, I don't know if it's just shooting at, but if they hit someone, they do have to go for a mental evaluation. And the reason for that is because if you take someone's life as a normal human, if you take someone's life, you're going to suffer.
yeah, that's going to affect you.
I know you can see it on TV, and we are a little more desensitized these days because we do see it on TV and it looks very real. So when we do it out, we actually do it.
Well, uh, I kind of have a slight disagreement on that one. Basically, because it's something that I went through myself. Well, I told you about it 3 weeks ago. Hi, Joe. Um, like I can see pictures of people that are mangled and everything. Yeah, it's gruesome to look at.
Yep.
I can watch movies where arms are cut off and things like that. I'm fine. Do I like it? No. But it's not going to cause me to turn away or my stomach's going to twist or anything like that. That's not going to happen. But and I've even mentioned this on the show because it happened. I think it happened that day. Uh, my lawyer had sent me a document that he was sending to somebody, and he warned me ahead of time that there were pictures in there. After 4 years, I thought I'd be fine. I got to that first picture. I wasn't fine because that was me.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can be desensitized, but I would argue that if it's you or someone you know, you're probably not going to be fine.
Right. But if you are using that weapon, more than likely it's not someone you know. As a police officer, it's probably not someone you know.
More
And
times than not, yeah.
if it is, it's a small town and you know why you're doing it.
Well, if it's a small town, what are the odds you're going to have just one bullet and have it in your shirt pocket?
Hmm. Yep. And, it's, I can imagine, I've never had to do it, but I can imagine if it's you doing it, it's going to have a different effect
Yeah.
than seeing it on TV. And you should see someone in case you have to go home and relive that in your dreams repeatedly.
Well, they probably will make you go see someone.
They do. They do. But if you were to tell the truth to that someone about what you feel, what, and you have to go see them within the first 24 hours. So in that first 24 hours, you're going to question yourself. Could I have done something different? Could I have, maybe shot lower and just got the leg and incapacitated him? Could I have, there's going to be 1,000 things going through your head. And if you're being honest, you're going to say those things. And that could cost you your job. That is not okay.
Or you realize that in that one moment, it's me or him.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're going to think of every other scenario that you could have done besides taking their life.
And that's human nature.
Yeah,
Well, human nature for the most part.
it should be. Yeah. That's what is ingrained in us or should be. But, you know, these first responders, these all these people have it a lot harder than we realize.
Yeah.
Military. I mean, what is out there for them when they come home?
When they come home, um, well, it would depend on the scenario. So, for example, when you're talking about the soldiers that came home from Vietnam, they went from hell over there to hell over here.
Right.
Um, Most of the other wars or conflict, whichever the case is, um, most people were looked at as heroes. Hey, you did the right thing. But Vietnam, completely different story.
Yeah.
I
And
just got done reading a book today. I just got done reading a book about Vietnam, but it was more about the protests
mhm.
and people going to Canada so that they don't get drafted. They were talking about what was it? I think 2A was when you got shipped or processed through to do boot camp, and then there was F4, I think, and that was your designation of not fit to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And even those people, yes, we know what happened to them there, and that was awful.
Yeah.
But even now, you tell somebody, let's go to even Desert Storm. As much as we talk about Vietnam, World War I, World War II, we know those were awful, and we know what they went through because they have had a chance to talk about it. Desert Storm we think of as almost a conflict because we don't hear about what happened. They're not able to talk about it. They
And
have to live with
Death
it.
Storm was a very brief war.
Yep. But the people that were there and had to do the things that they did was on command. I mean, yes, we have our rogue soldiers, whatever, but
You're going to have that in every
right,
uh,
right.
situation.
Oh, yeah. But for the most part, they were told what to do. They are taught to just don't question, take orders.
Yeah.
They did.
Well, I have a nephew who went over, and it was during Afghanistan after when Bush declared war after 9/11.
Hmm.
I have a nephew that went over, and he had to shoot a kid.
Right. Things like that.
Yeah, he was severely affected by that.
Sure. And it's not a question. It's those children are put in this situation because they are programmed
Hmm.
that they will wear explosives. They will, whatever it takes. They're programmed that their lives don't matter. They're doing this for the greater good. And they
And
do it
it's
willingly.
not okay.
Yeah. But, those of us on the other side of it that know children are children and don't know any better
Right.
and have to take action to save themselves or their platoon, they have to live with that. They have to live with, why wasn't this child taught any better? Why were the parents okay with this? Why was this child sacrificed? Because that's really what happened.
Hmm.
and why were adults okay with this?
Their culture over there, they're all about sacrifice.
Right. And that's not the way we are.
Those sacrifices.
Yeah. It's, these people have to come home and live with this. And I don't know about your nephew, but there has to be some serious mental health.
I do know that he was badly affected when he came home. He was definitely not okay.
Mm-mm.
Um, he and my sister, oh, they went at it real bad. And now since it's been, I want to say 15 years after the fact, um, I haven't talked to him personally in a long time. Uh, I saw my sister. Well, no, I talked to my sister a few months ago. Uh, he's doing okay. I guess he did went in and got the help. He went through therapy. That's my guess. But he's married now. He's got kids,
Yep.
and as of right now, my understanding is everything's good.
Yeah. And
We
you
get
know,
it.
as far as the military is concerned, and that's something we can look into. Um, but how do other countries do it? Do they treat their soldiers any differently? When they come home here, of course, they're debriefed before they're able to go meet their families. That begs the question: why aren't they given the mental help at that point
Well,
before meeting their families?
here's how I look at it. Our veterans, yeah, we may do what we can to help them out and everything like that, especially with things like this. But the perception is our veterans are viewed, at least by government standpoint, the way that I see it, that veterans are viewed as a stain
Hmm.
in this country.
Hmm.
And that is just all shades of wrong.
I think the reason for that, and this is my personal belief, I think the reason for that is because in wartime, they are a tool, and that's all they are. They're a tool. And they also have experiments done on them because they belong to the government. They
I,
don't belong to themselves.
I remember um, a thing where they were trying to create some sort of a super soldier
Hmm.
a long time ago. I don't know if it was World War II or if it was during Vietnam. Um, I kind of lean towards Vietnam basically because of the whole Agent Orange thing,
Right. Yeah.
but I don't really know the specifics of what Agent Orange really is or how the soldiers got exposed to it.
It
I
was a
just
bomb,
know,
I think.
huh?
I think it was a bomb.
Oh, oh, well then that's that's severe radiation.
Yeah, but I think the Agent Orange was like dropped with a bomb.
Okay, so then maybe the super soldier thing I'm thinking of is World War II. Um, and actually, that would actually kind of tie in with the whole Captain America. I think that's how they got that story, wasn't it? How that character was created.
I
Because
think so.
no, but I do know that veterans coming home from Vietnam were severely affected because I had when I was in school, I was I was bowling with this other kid. His father was a Vietnam vet, and he told me that it was nothing for his father to be taking a nap on the couch, and all of a sudden he's screaming incoming, and he jumps off the couch and starts crawling around on the floor from
Yeah.
the from a dead sleep.
Yep. Yep. And they were never right again. They never slept right again.
Right.
It was
All
1940s.
to learn to sleep with one eye open.
Oh yeah, 1940s is when they tried to do that.
The super soldier.
Yeah.
So, damn, that was before the U.S. even got into the war.
A number of countries have expressed more ambitious intentions to develop enhanced soldiers, including the US, UK, and France. As of 2011, the US Pentagon spent around 400 million per year researching soldier enhancements. It's still going on.
It's still going on. Wow.
You know, they're given, I do know this for a fact, experimental vaccinations are given to soldiers, and they have no choice.
Yeah, those scare me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Joe just said that he heard a lot of Vietnam stories from a vet that was special forces, and the stories he told him were like nightmares. I bet. I bet. I don't know if you heard, but Nick has decided to cancel doing the.
Oh, okay. I had not heard.
Yeah, he posted about it. So I don't know if he sent Zach a message or not.
I don't know.
Well, Zach better be asleep right now.
You know, he's not because I just yelled at him.
Of course.
Yeah, because we got Jan and I coming on next.
Actually, it's 9 o'clock. She should be coming on any time now.
Yep. Yep. And I got to figure out how we're doing this. If he gave her a link or how we're transitioning here. This isn't my rodeo. I'm just a monkey in this circus.
Well, Lynn is also supposed to be hopping on too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
see that Jan is online.
Yeah. Yeah. She said ready when you are.
Okay.
So I have to figure this out. Give me 1 second.
Well, I can always stick around.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So that dude was, yeah, I bet he was, Joe.
Don't get mad at me. This isn't my rodeo. He said send her the invite. What?
So Jan hasn't gotten the link?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. What am I doing here?
Well, I can send her the link myself. I can do that right now.
No, just pull her up on Facebook and send it.
Where do I pull her up?
I just did it.
Okay. Because I am completely. This is not my circus.
Zach, does Lynn have the link?
Yeah. He said she does.
And there she is right now. Hello, Lynn.
Woo, hello, hello.
Hi.
You look a little different.
I keep forgetting until people mention it. Yes, I did get one of my, I guess, maybe 4 haircuts of the year yesterday.
Oh, shoot. Okay. And
When
how did
I
you.
talked to you, you had a full head of hair.
I did. I tend to shear it at the beginning of the year and then let it grow like a little longer, and once it gets to like kind of fluffy,
Yeah.
that's when I lose patience with it.
There's Jan. Okay. How am I going to do this? There she goes. Okay. All it told me was remove. I don't want to remove. Okay. So, Lynn,
Yes.
I don't know how much you know. Jeremy is the founder of our paranormal team.
Lynn was on our show a few weeks ago.
Well, yes, but it's been a while. And we've had her through the mill with everybody. And Jan is my best friend. This is my other half. And this is Lynn. She is a tarot reader, Jan.
Hi, I'm Jan Lynn. It's nice to meet you, Lynn.
It's nice to meet you, Jan. I'm Lynn.
Okay, I can remove this now.
Love it.
And Zach is now taking a nap.
A
Finally.
well-deserved nap, I'm sure.
Well, it's about time. He should have done that an hour ago.
Oh, he didn't do it last year. It's going to get worse next year.
Wow. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm okay. I haven't been up 22 hours, so I'm good.
I've been up 13 hours.
That's still not okay. I don't know how long I've been up. I think probably off and on since Zach got up at 11:30 last night. But you know, I got to take a nap. He didn't, so I'm not complaining. This is his circus, his monkeys.
Well, right now we are the monkeys, so we're running the circus.
I know. Shh.
Just like you're always loving it whenever I miss an episode of Supernatural Talk.
Yeah, but see, then we get a little wild. On his, I don't get to do that because this is a little more professional show.
That is true, yeah.
And he trusts me to actually do that. I don't know why.
So professional is what we're going for tonight.
Sure.
Okay.
That's what we're going to say anyway.
Yeah, let's use that.
Okay.
I was going to say, I don't think professional has my picture next to it.
Me either, and he knows that, so yeah. That's the way it goes. So, okay, we're going to start this with the way we always do when Jan and I do this. I want Jan to tell her this is kind of like a second birthday for her son. Just because her son committed suicide and he was 14. The whole premise of this is, like I was saying earlier, kind of a segue into this one. There is not enough or competent mental health within, whether it's our children, whether it's, and Jan was also an EMT. She was also in the medical field. So she understands the whole need of the lack of.
Which
there is not. And Jan, I don't know if you heard earlier, but I was mentioning, like the FBI. When something happens and they have to make a shot, that it was their life or someone else's, and they have to do it. They also have to speak to a mental health professional.
Mm-hmm.
And something I read online earlier was they're afraid to say what they're really thinking. They're afraid to speak to that mental health because their job is on the line if they say what they're really feeling or thinking. And like us, we may have a bad day and we may hit rock bottom that day because of what happened, because of what was said, whatever the case might be. And then later, hey, sweetheart. And then later, the next day we are okay. We come back with a fresh attitude. But if we are to say what we are thinking to that mental health professional as an FBI agent that day, we may not have a job the next day. And that is not okay.
And another thing that I brought up when she was saying that if we hit rock bottom one day and then we're fine the next day, that could also be looked at as potentially being bipolar.
Yeah.
And that also would put your job in jeopardy.
Yeah.
There isn't. There's no true help. Even our soldiers coming back, right? Our soldiers coming back, and I've been there, done this, not once, not twice, but a few times. They get debriefed, right? They get there quick. How are you feeling? Let's take this test. Let's sit down. Are you ready to go back out into the civilian world? Something as crazy as a lot of people don't know that when military men come back and women come back from overseas, they are told not to drive a car. They're told to be escorted around. And the reason why is because they're not used to stopping at red lights. They're not used to stopping at roundabouts. There is no such thing as a stop sign because if they stop, they're sitting ducks. So they have to continue to go. And that's the way that the mental health is treated. It just continue to go, just continue to go, just continue to go. Put it all behind you. There's not a lot of forethought put into the mental health anymore. There's just not. If there even was, the mental health is severely lacking. I was talking to one of my favorite officers who responded to every single one of my son's episodes. I don't know how to put it. And he's going out and he's going to be sheriff. He's trying to become sheriff, and he's received a lot of backlash from the way he wants to approach things, and he wants to take mental health and he just wants to revamp it. And Pat was the first one that he had to truly deal with mental health issues. And when he showed up, what we call the last call, that's weird as Jesse turns the light off behind me.
Yeah, that caught my attention too.
Yeah. That last call was obviously, Pat was gone. He was Justin's the one that pronounced him. And it was heartbreaking. And Pat, being 14, had the right to refuse mental health treatment. He had the right to refuse taking meds. He had the right to refuse drug tests. And it's just, there's no help.
Can,
There's no help out there. I made
And,
over
and let's go back to what that.
well, hold on. Can I ask you something, Jan, about that? When you said that at the age of 14, he has the right to refuse that. So at that age, um, you know, mental health notwithstanding, at that age, is anybody truly understanding enough or competent enough to be able to refuse any kind of medical help?
No.
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 Are we at our age now? Probably not. If somebody else sees that we need mental help, they should. Now, yes, I understand there are vindictive people. I get that. That, used to in the old days, they would hide their crazy or lock them up, instead of putting them on the front porch like they do now and give them a drink. But, there's got to be a medium there somewhere where your friend, like if Jan were to call someone and say, look, this is not her. This is not how she's supposed to act. This is not how she normally acts. She needs help.
Well, and you've been there with me. You have been right by my side. I have not just lost I have not lost just my son to mental health. I lost somebody who I might cry with this one. Um,
It's okay if you do.
I lost somebody I considered a sister. And I called Adrian in the middle of the night and I told her I'm picking you up and we're going to Wisconsin and I've got to try. I've got to knock on the door and I've got to try. And when I got there, it was worse than what I could imagine. And she's been arrested, she's lost her family, she's lost her kids because she has the right to be crazy.
Mhm.
That's what we were told. She has the right to refuse meds. She's not in her right mind to make those decisions. And I know her better than anybody else on the face of the earth. And I can tell you that she would want me to force the meds down her throat, if that makes sense. Not that I would force them down her throat, but not give the option. Not
That
give the option.
that does make sense, and then you would have it would take you forever to try to do, because I think in something like that they would have to go through like a guardianship or
Which I tried.
yeah.
I tried very hard to get guardianship out of her, but it's hard when her mother's crazy too. Um,
Oh wow.
and it's something as simple as all she did was give birth. And it's a rare disorder. She gave birth twice, and I watched her mental health come down the first time. And I was there physically, and she was living with me. So I was able to help bring her back up. But I wasn't there the second time she gave birth. And the second time she gave birth, she just completely lost it. And so here we are with a broken mental health system, right? Where do you bend, where do you break, right? What rules can we really enforce? And unfortunately there's no true help for those who truly need the help. And Megan's right. That's my daughter-in-law. Megan's right. She does know somebody who's refused a bed because they were overweight. um
Oh,
and yeah, nursing homes with resident rights, even if they aren't in the right state of mind. What are we to do? What are we to do? My hands were tied with my son. My hands are tied with Mar. What, for those of us, we suffer, and it takes a toll on our mental health as well.
Mhm.
It's just, but with Pat, this year's probably been the hardest. I don't know what it is about this year. It's going on eight years. Um,
8 years out.
and it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. You know, everything that he's missed, because he would have been a fantastic uncle. He would have he would have been like, those boys would be spoiled. And Megan's expecting another one here in May, and she would be spoiled probably the most out of all of them. Um, Miss Derek graduating from high school. Nate's going to be 15 and would really like his brother's help with things, right? And then this one, this blonde thing that just has to bust in. He would have been such a wonderful brother to her.
Where's
I
Abby?
love her. She's the greatest gift my son gave to me, though, was her name. Because every time I speak her name, it's with his love.
Excuse me, Mom.
Give me a second.
Oh, did she say excuse me?
she did.
Bring her on. Hi, Abby.
Wow, you have grown.
Hasn't she? Like in the last 3 months, like years. What you doing, baby girl?
Nothing.
Nothing. Then what do you excuse me for?
My mom,
Uh-huh.
I needed to tell mom something because whenever my dad left like the house, all I hear was like something banging on like the roof in there.
Okay. Listen to me. You're out in the country, right? Yeah. You're out in the country. Okay.
Mhm.
There's birds that are going to nest on your roof. There's squirrels that are going to jump on your roof. Mommy's not going to let nothing happen to you. And mommy would know if anything was banging that shouldn't be banging. I promise you're fine.
I got to tell you guys a funny thing. All right, go find daddy.
Bye, baby girl. Love you.
We have shingles on the roof from the wind that blew loose. So if you guys want to laugh amongst all of this sadness, yesterday it started flickering. Lynn's going to love this one. I just know you're going to love this one. The power starts flickering. It flickered 3 times. All I hear is, whatever evil spirits in this house, get out. Next, it gets better. Then the power flickered again. She goes, don't make me get Jesus Christ up in here.
Gee, I wonder where she learned that from.
And I'm like, Avelina, the power is just flickering. It's okay. And she's like, no, I'm getting Mother Mary. I'm getting her. I'm calling her right now. Where's my rosary? And I was like, I'm done. I can't handle this girl.
That's pretty awesome when you think about that.
Oh, that girl has no fear. None whatsoever. None.
I,
Oh, no.
I,
Human or a spirit.
I still hated the fact that we did not have the opportunity to do that filming that I wanted to do 3 years ago when she was supposed to chase me and Nick out of that cornfield.
That's okay. It will happen, and she will be just the right age and just the right actress.
No, I wanted her to be tiny doing that. Can you think about that? 2 grown men running from a tiny little thing?
She's not going to get too awful big right now.
No, she's still tiny. She's still petite. She's still little. But yeah, she's
How
feisty.
tall is she?
Shoot. Okay, so I'm 5'10" and a half, and she comes up right underneath my boobs.
Oh, okay. So
4'8", maybe.
yeah, so
I got the last.
still tiny enough. So we.
She's 42 pounds, 42 inches. What is 42 inches? 12 goes into 48. How many times, Janice?
24.
Somebody will answer in the
48.
comments.
Yeah, 48 is 4 feet.
4 foot. That's 4 foot exactly.
Yeah, she's a little under 4 foot.
Okay.
Just a little.
So we still got time.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
yes.
got this.
Yes. She still has an evil laugh.
Oh, I
Like that's ever.
I remember when you sent us that clip of her doing that.
Yeah.
But you ought to hear it in
That
person.
evil laugh. Do what?
I said you ought to hear it in person.
Oh. She was doing her demonic voice over the phone when Daddy and Big Brother were in Arizona. And all of a sudden, all Big Brother said is, who the hell is that? And Daddy goes, that's your sister. And he goes, no, it wasn't. That was some demonic possessed. Never mind. That was my sister.
Yeah, it is.
Keith, that's exactly what I was thinking because we were traveling through Nebraska, Kansas to get to Colorado. That was exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and another thing that I do want to touch on, Jan has also been EMT, where she has had two of that I know of. She was actually up here in Colorado when she was EMT. Um, two friends, one of which she didn't know that's the call she was going on. And when she got there, our worst nightmare as any, I don't care if it's a civilian, I don't care if it's, a CNA worker, anything, a doctor, having someone come in under your care. Because at that point, you are not just a civil worker, you are that friend. And those lines blur, they blur quickly. Jan has had to do this twice that I know of. I think one of them maybe she didn't know that with the call she was going on. But what the hell just happened?
Her video had been freezing a lot.
Girl, get your ass back on here. Move on the other side of the house. Come on. Let's go. I
I
know
thought
they've
you were
had some
saying
serious.
real estate.
Excuse me.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, maybe she got it fixed.
We
Are we
we
fixed?
yeah, our internet's been fun.
Adrian has a request for you.
Oh boy.
Go to the other side of the house.
Yeah, right. Next to that monitor there, the one that emits.
I am right next to it.
What the hell's going on? Got
I
wind?
don't know. Everything kind of went down. Well, we do have problems with Mexico right now. I am on the border. So I might end up losing you guys. And I
You,
just pray.
your video has been getting choppy every now and then all of a sudden you were just perfectly still and you were gone.
Yep, you guys were gone. Last thing I heard Adrian say was something about me, one of the calls I went on.
Okay, so after that, I said, I think there was more than one call that you knew the person, but the second time you might have not known that the call you were going on was someone you knew.
Yeah, no, the second call I didn't know. So I've been in a couple of unique situations. I've watched somebody kill themselves. That was traumatic, to say the least. And everybody on scene or everybody that was there were medics too, so that was rough. Um I have been on the phone with somebody when they have committed suicide. My first love. I was on the phone with him and he overdosed on pills and drove over a cliff. And then I have responded to a couple of calls that I've known the people. Um, the one I was told to stand down and I didn't. I just kept on coming. I already knew being on the energy line worker, I kind of I start shaking when I think about it. I know when it's coming, so I already knew that something bad was going to happen, and I already knew who, what, where. I just didn't know when. So I was on that call. That was pretty traumatizing. And then the second one, I didn't know. I didn't know at all. I was blindsided. So coming from somebody who's worked in the medical field, it's hard. It's really hard when it's somebody that it really it takes a toll on you, and just like our police officers, our military personnel, we're required to go through our mental health too. So, and I understand that because I sit there and I know I'm fine. No, I'm fine. But let me tell you, when I go to my off the clock therapist, I'm not okay. And I'm fortunate that in that field, I'm able to go to an off the clock therapist and talk about what was going on and get those emotions out and everything else. But
Okay,
it's
so
not
this is
suicide.
this is something I've never asked. What kind of mental health help do they have for EMTs?
We have each other and dry bad sense of humor. I'm not going to sit here and say that we deal with it very darkly.
Right, but
Very.
professionally, what do you have?
Your supervisor. That's when I was in. It was your supervisor. Your supervisor sits down. They do the 20 questions and the pat on the back and the okay, you're good. You go back out. But that's why EMTs have a high turnover rate is because there isn't any therapy for us. There isn't any sit down. We're first on scene. We are the first to control the situation to see how bad it is. We literally hold people's lives in our hands in the back of that ambulance or out in the field and or up in the air because you have your flight, right? There's nothing for us really. Nothing.
That's not okay. That
No.
I mean, that's
No,
how is that different from military
it's
and
not.
having to, take orders and do what you need to do as ordered, and then have to deal with it like you're a robot.
Yeah, I can say that's probably how we're expected to deal with it. I sit down and think about it. When you work in the medical field, you're not supposed to get attached. You're not supposed to have emotions. You're not supposed to call them honey, love, dear. Right? They're your patient. They're your client. They're your this. You're that. And we're not supposed. It takes a human element out of it. So we are supposed to be kind of like robots, but we're not, right? Because we're living, breathing. We're humans. We feel things, and we get close. We get attached. That's our nature. Um, it's like I can even say working in the medical field. Where's the medical field? Period. Where is their mental health?
Yeah, I've
Well,
never heard of it.
I can tell you from personal experience that I appreciated when all of my nurses put the human element into it,
Hmm.
because it showed me that they cared
Yeah,
and that I wasn't just a job.
yeah, yeah.
So I appreciated when, um, not not attached, but when they went that extra mile, I guess.
You can't help but attach. I don't care. I was a CNA, which is the lowest that you can be, like in a nursing home. Okay, it doesn't take
Don't
much to be
ever say
a
that.
CNA.
Don't ever say that because as a CNA, you are the highest. Okay,
No,
I view that doctor and that RN on the bottom of the list, and I don't give a shit who I offend with that. Okay, because that CNA is there. They know your poop schedule. They
no,
know they share with you. They dress you. They feed you. They help you. They do your therapies. So no, like your CNA, don't ever say you're bottom of the level. You're the one in the thick of the shit dealing with
oh
it.
yeah, oh
Mhm.
yeah. And I can't tell you their names anymore, but I can tell you their faces. I could
Hmm.
draw them because That's the reason I quit being a CNA. There is no mental help for a CNA.
No.
There's no mental help for an RN, honestly. But, when you are in a nursing home and these people, they tell you their life story while they're capable. And then afterwards, they're not capable anymore. They become mean. They really become mean. And that's their pain. That's their mental status going. It's not that they're mean. And if there's dementia, I remember one. She was violated. I won't use terms here that might get us canceled, but she was violated all of her young life. And so when you go to change her, she only spoke Spanish at that point. This was in Carlsbad, New Mexico. So, she wasn't far from her home where she came from. And she would start speaking in her language, which I have realized the older you get, the more you revert.
Yep.
I grew up speaking Bulgarian. I was actually cutting potatoes earlier. And all of a sudden was looking down at the eggs that I had just peeled. And I grew up speaking Bulgarian. I had to teach my parents English, which since I've forgotten Bulgarian, almost completely. But the word chicken came to me. And it made me think of this lady because she spoke English the whole time until her mental status went, dementia set in. And when it set in, it was all Spanish, but I could understand words, certain words, not the whole thing. But it was, don't touch me. I will kill you. She was going back to what had happened to her. And her kids were telling me what had happened to her. Otherwise, I'd have never understood. But, these things happened to her, and we had to change her diaper. Can you imagine how, as if we were to think about having our diaper changed right now, that's a violation. We would look at that as a violation. And having that happen to you and then have to go through that, you don't understand somebody's trying to help you. You just don't. And she stayed in that mode of defense, of this is what happened to me. And that's where her dementia took her, and she stayed constant. It was a real.
So, and that's a good point about mental health. If we were to have the tools to learn how to process it and deal with it when we become older, hopefully we don't revert back to that.
Yeah, and there was nothing. I mean, even if she were not as far in dementia as she was, there's nothing in a nursing home for anyone, nurses, doctors, patients, as far as mental health. Had she maybe been able to, like you said, work through it before she got into that state, maybe she wouldn't have to live in that loop. I don't know, because that isn't something that happens. So I don't know. I know that as dementia, you live in the past.
So we often go back to the most traumatic thing.
Yeah.
And I noticed this working with Alzheimer's, working with people with dementia. Oftentimes we go back to the most traumatic thing that has happened to us in our past. And my personal belief is that's because they weren't able to work through it. So if that's where I pray. If I ever get dementia and Alzheimer's, first of all, I apologize right now. I know you're going to have to be the one to take care of me.
But
I
I don't know where you're at.
Yeah, hopefully my therapy has helped.
And no, not to say, oh no, you don't see that there. You're not seeing that person doing this to you, because in dementia, you really do.
See
You're
it.
living that. That's like saying, I don't see this computer screen in front of me. You can't tell them that because they do see it.
Mhm.
And that is actually a conversation I had to have yesterday with the people I take care of. It was, they did not remember that they had told me to do something. So a week later, when I finally have a chance to do something, it was, can you please ask me if you can do this instead of just doing it? Your first reaction is, the fuck? What? You told me to, you know what? I ain't touching another fucking thing. But then you have to go back and go, okay, this person doesn't remember. So here's how we're going to deal with this. You're going to tell me you want this done, because I'm not going to be able to get to it for a week. It's just the way it is. I'm going to come back to you in a week when I have time to do this and say, look, you told me last Thursday you wanted this done. Do you still want it done? And then, there won't be that issue happening right then. And as we're getting deeper into this dementia or whatever the hell's going on, this is how we're going to have to deal with it. But again, there is no mental health person. None.
Well, and Megan just brought up a good point about the system, is that the CNAs aren't trained properly to handle those situations, or just don't care, and unfortunately make it worse. And
Yeah.
we can go back to that. Where is that mental health training? Because when
There
I went through,
isn't.
it was taught, right? And yet nobody's being taught mental health. There is no help anymore.
No.
They tell you, well, you know what, you need to go seek counseling. Well, tell me what counselor is going to be available within the next 16 to 36 months, please.
You know what? Megan's CNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recently, like in the last 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. When I did my training, if it's different now, please let me know. I did my training, let's say 12 years ago. Um, the only
Let do that with me. Put quotation marks around that 12.
the only thing that we were really tested on was how to turn someone in bed, how to transfer someone, how to take blood pressure, how to gauge if somebody is vomiting blood, and what to do if you think they are, the test strips and all of that. Um, Sometimes, and this was an afterthought, we were taught how to change colostomy bags. This wasn't part of the actual training, but it was later. But not once in my training. And if this has changed, please let me know. Was there ever emphasis on dementia? This happens. Or if this person is feeling this way, this is what you do. Or if dementia sets in, this is what you do. I never got that.
When I did my training, I did my training through the Red Cross. So they did theirs completely different.
Okay.
And Red Cross, we had a whole thing on dementia, on how to feed, how to do certain procedures like the colostomy bag. Yeah, Megan said it's lightly touched upon. Um, So for me, I don't know if I hit the in between stage. Well, I got my CNA a long time ago. So I mean, and a long time ago, CNAs were the backbone. Like that was you basically were a nurse without the hours and the med pass, right? And then you eventually get the med pass and everything else. Um, but it's not touched upon anymore. It's really not because now
It
you have
wasn't
NA,
with us.
you have your nurse's assistant instead of your certified nursing assistant, and you have this and you have that, and you know, I just and that's the reason why I stopped going for my PA, my physician's assistant. I stopped altogether because it was just not where I wanted to be. And there we go. There's the problem, right? They make it so damn difficult now for mental health. They make it hard to get certified. The classes are ridiculous. Keith made a point about, like Megan said, I guess I missed what Keith had said, that, you go to a mental health provider and they slap you with a bill. You end up in a hospital, they slap you with a bill, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Insurance, malpractice insurance, has gone through the roof to where we're not just losing therapists and counselors, we're losing doctors. We're losing people, and hopefully that's about ready to change, because from what I understand, mental health facilities are going to be opened up again, and that's huge, because I'm going to get down to the heart of it. Like, I live outside of 4 major military bases. All right. And I am a military daughter, and I have been married to military twice. My first ex husband, I'm very proud of him because he's made steps and he's made progress, and he is going and he is getting help now. My second, who knows?
I think if help would have been available,
I lost him completely. I
right,
lost him.
right, and let's go back just a step. You also got to watch. Got to is not the word, but you had to watch one of his comrades. He tried to help that comrade, and things went sideways, and that person killed himself in your house. He had to watch this. Um, his mental status at that point, I don't know. I know when I met him that there was nothing left. There was no soul left. There was nothing left. Like, he had shut it all down. There was
Down,
nothing left.
all down. No
Nothing
sign
left for his
of love,
kids.
no sign of affection, no, towards his kids, towards me.
No.
Um, and
There
that
was
that's
nothing left toward a stranger. I mean, like, there was nothing. It was like looking at a magazine, and you can't feel like an empath can feel someone's emotions, or even if they hate you, you can feel it. But there was nothing. It's like looking at a piece of paper, a picture. You can get more off a picture, probably, because that's how I read people, is through a picture. But there was nothing. And I met this person in person, and there was nothing. Like, you can be looking in a mirror, and it's nothing. There's nothing there.
and that
I understand now that all the situations, all the military, whatever happened afterwards, the choices that were made afterwards contributed to that.
mhm.
And that is absolutely not where Jan needed to be, or could be, and live her life or her children's life. But, this is one of those things that, what if? What if there was inadequate mental health? Let's go clear back to Pat. What if there was
So
adequate mental health?
so and then Megan brings something up. So we have my son who commits suicide. And let's talk about the trauma before the suicide. Um and I give Megan a lot of credit because I know how bad my son's post traumatic is. I know. And she deals with it every day. Every day. Sometimes Dylan's good, sometimes he's quick to trigger. Little things can set him off. The trauma that happened before, watching his brother slide, watching his brother just go downhill, right? Um, Becoming addicted to drugs, becoming XYZ. And all of that is because of the mental health, right? The mental health that he was getting was, here's these drugs, take these drugs. Oh, you're gaining weight and you have boobs now and you're a boy. That's okay. Don't worry about that. That's just the Seroquel, right? Oh, this is what's going on. That's what's going on. Here's some more drugs. Here you go, Pat. Here's some more drugs. And on the back end, us as the family, we're dealing with the mood swings from the drugs. I got the shit beat out of me, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Because not because he wanted to, but that's because what the drugs were doing. So Dylan, being the oldest, what did he do? He had to come defend me. And the last time I was pregnant with Avelina, and that just ended bad, right? So then we get to the time frame of, we know it's coming. We know, as a family, collectively, we know it's coming. It happens. I find my son, and here comes my other son right behind me. He saw him at the exact same time I did. I just got to Pat first. Now I've got not just a dead son, but I'm watching my family die. I'm watching.
But here's the thing on that. What is there? I mean, okay, so we know Dylan now is dealing with that every single day. He feels responsible because as a sibling, he said something to his brother that day, like any sibling would and does every day. But he has to live with that thinking, was that it? Was
Right.
that what caused it? Absolutely not. No, it was not.
No, it was planned out for weeks.
But
The I've looked at it, and
yeah,
I've sat down and thought about it. I finally, a couple of years ago, actually picked up his phone, turned it on, and went through his phone for the first time. That was trauma inducing. I knew then that he had had this plan for weeks. And nothing I could have done, nothing his brothers could have done, or anybody could have done would have changed it.
but if
He
Dylan
was,
could
he was done.
understand, just if he could just understand, he had nothing to do with it.
He does. He does understand that, but it's accepting it.
Right.
That's that acceptance.
That's
Because remember, I hear God. I'm going to say this. I had the benefit of grief counseling before my son died.
Mhm.
I So I already knew what I was going to do. I already knew how I was going to handle it. And I know that sounds really stupid to everybody goes, "Oh, you don't know." No, you do. When you prep, you rehearse, you think about it. Like
Mhm.
I'd lay awake in bed
Oh,
going, "Okay, what okay, if I were to wake up and he overdosed, how would I handle that? If I were to wake up and he did it this way, how would I handle that?"
mhm.
I am grateful that he did it the way that he did it, because at least I didn't have to go search for him.
Well, and when you're told from birth that he has this disorder, that this is what
Well,
is
it,
to
it
happen.
wasn't right, and it wasn't confirmed that he had this mental disorder until he was 12, and then I only had 2 years with him.
Right.
I will give Pat the absolute credit, because if he would have just held on, he was already thinking selflessly. He was going to go to a specialized ranch where they were actually going to study his mental disorder, because it is so rare. And what the audience needs to understand is my son was diagnosed with a mental disorder that only like 1 in 100 million people have, and he wasn't going to make it past 21. The chances of him making it past 21 was just not there. I think only, say, one out of 100 million, and we'll take 100 out of that. Maybe two make it past the age of 21, and then they don't make it past 30. Right. Um, so preparing him, and he wanted people to understand where he was coming from. He had that compassion. He wanted help for those that were younger than him to not go through what he went through. So he was going to put himself out there, and he was going to be studied like a lab rat, right? As he used to put it to me. But he just couldn't. He couldn't make it, and that's okay. That is okay. Because, and what has happened since and transpired since my son's death is this officer, like I started off saying, he has this awareness of mental health and what needs to change, and he wants to go make that change. Yet he's struggling with, how do I make this change when this is a federal issue? This is a federal thing. A lot of people don't understand that it is across the board, I think, in all 50 states, that at the age of 14, you have the right to refuse. But yeah, I'm responsible for their health insurance until they're 26. Please explain this to me. Like, I don't get it.
That's
Um,
what I was asking earlier. That just does not make any sense. But Jan, I do want to ask you one question. Okay,
mhm.
are you okay?
I have my days.
Yeah, I'm
So,
hoping more good days.
Yeah, I have more good days.
Were you talking to me?
no, I was talking to Keith.
Um, I have more good days than I do bad. There will say there's certain times of year, and I don't even think about it. It just hits. Um, I don't know why this year is hitting different than the rest of the years, and and maybe it's because I'm getting old.
Now you know how I feel.
Um,
I'm the same way. Don't you see all this? All
I,
this fight? It
mm,
didn't used to be like that.
I got the streaks.
okay, so Keith, trust me, I asked her that the first year. This is actually kind of a second birthday for Pat. This is his way of having his voice heard, and we do this every year for the mental health aspect of this. And yes, it's hard. It is, but this is his voice, and I wouldn't put her through this if she didn't want to do this. I promise. This is not. I'm making her do anything. Have you tried to make Janet do anything? Seriously.
And suicide runs deep in my family. And maybe that's the reason why it's hitting me so hard this year, is I'm looking at the next generation coming up. I really am. I'm looking at my grandchildren, my grandsons. They are absolutely perfect, right? And they are just they are my pride. They as much as my kids are, right? Here I have these grandsons and they're absolutely wonderful. And I look at two of them and I see my boys. And I don't want that generational curse to come down upon those boys. I don't want Megan to ever feel the way that I feel sitting here today. That would kill me.
Well,
It
we're
would
all
literally,
here to
it
make
would
sure
literally touch me, right?
that doesn't happen. And
And, and
in
that
all reality, we can't fix it, but we can be there as much as we can.
Yeah.
right. And so, I want the laws to change around mental health. I want the stigmata to change around mental health. I want the bullshit to just calm down and realize that what we lack in this country is mental health. From working from service members, that are old and have dementia and there's no help for them even at this facility, and it's the largest facility in the United States. You would think that they would have some mental health and they don't, right? um to our young kids and the bullshit that they're going through nowadays. We really need to focus on mental health. And I've been saying this for years and years and years, and I worked in mental health. It needs to change. We need bigger facilities. We need more people. We need more help. We need more understanding. Um,
Adequate
we,
training.
we don't need people going, oh, it's okay that you feel that way. No, it's not okay that you feel that way. It's not okay that you think that way. That is not okay. That is not normal. That is not natural. And we need to figure out what is going on inside of your head, and we need to fix it, because the only thing that we're doing it is masking it and making it worse.
Okay, we have got to go to the next segment. Jan, I want you to stay on for these readings for just a little while.
Oh boy.
The next segment is in the next studio. We have to end this studio.
Yeah, he's going to send you the link because I want you in for these readings.
Yeah.
So we're getting off of this one, and
We'll send you the
Liz,
link.
you haven't said one word.
Who?
That's quite all right. I'll be talking a lot for the next hour.
She is. The next segment is on her. But I wanted her to be able to hear all of this as well, because this way she gets to know me a little bit and all of you.
Yeah, no, this has been, thank you for allowing me to be here and sharing all that and being the amazing person that you are, truly. I look forward to our next segment, and I guess I'm gonna press some buttons and then log on and press some other buttons, and I'll see y'all in like a minute.
Absolutely. Megan, get with me, Mom. Yes, we have. You got any ideas? Let us know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go ahead and cut this speed, but stay tuned. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, we'll be on. But well, I won't be on the next segment. My part is done today. But Jan,
Thank you for everything you've done today.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Jan, we're here for you, and thank you for sharing your story today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned, because we will have Adrian, Zach, Jan, and Lynn on the next segment for the 1 hour tarot. Just refresh your pages here in the next couple of minutes, and the next live will be on. So thank you guys so much. I will be playing our outro video. You guys can go ahead and skip out and go into the next studio, and I will end this live. Have a good night, folks.
Night. Night.
Good night. So I had to figure out something for the top floor.
So, hey, everybody.